Alright guys, let's start my Universal Monsters reviews, and I will first be reviewing the Dracula franchise. So the original Dracula from 1931 is what I'm going to be reviewing today, and I will review all 6 of the big Universal Monster movies and also try to watch the other ones that are not so big, that I have not seen before. I've only seen, in terms of the Universal Monster movies, I've only seen almost all of the movies from the main 6 Universal Monsters, from Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Mummy, Invisible Man, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. The only ones I haven't seen in those are the sequels to Invisible Man, but I've seen all of these, of the 6, besides the Invisible Man sequels, and I will watch those and review them. But the Universal Monsters, like the big 6, I've seen almost every movie of theirs. So I've seen them all before, and I've got mixed to varying opinions on all of them. So this will be an interesting watch with all of these different Universal Monsters, because there's some I like more, there's some that I don't really like that much. Mostly more sequels than like the original ones, but today let's talk about the original Dracula from 1931 with Bela Lugosi. This one, I do appreciate this one for being iconic and being a thing that is embedded in culture. Like, it is a movie that had to be made to create other movies. It is one of the first pioneers of horror, and I do appreciate that so much. And it's the first of the big 6 movies, so that's why I picked this one first. And it's about a group of 1931 people who act like they're from 1931, who are in a carriage trying to make it to a hotel before sundown, and then this guy goes to Castle Dracula, and the townsfolk are like, nope, don't go there. Dracula's there, don't go to the Dracula's castle. And the guy goes to Dracula's castle for trying to get property from him, and it's a weird thing. It's like, okay. And then, but before he goes, he gets driven there by a guy in coach who is obviously not Dracula. It can't be him. It's not Dracula, you guys. It's not Dracula. But not Dracula takes him up to Dracula's castle. So the story is kind of like a lot of different things. Like, it starts with these people in the carriage, but then it goes to the castle, then it goes to different places around the world where Dracula goes. So I did appreciate that this goes to different locations and not just stay in the same thing. So I did enjoy that for the story factor. Even though some people will think this is dated, I agree in aspects that this is a very dated movie. I can see immediately why many people can't watch these movies, because they're so different than nowadays. They're so different, just how they're created, how they feel. But the thing I do appreciate is that these being in black and white, especially this Dracula movie, it works very well with atmosphere. It works very well with cinematography, with how it's just black and white works great with darkness, and I really appreciate that in this movie. And I really appreciate Bela Lugosi. He's incredible, and just in this movie, it's on its own. He's just gives so much for so little. The way that he stares, he is really intimidating, and he is really, really effective. Really love that. And I really love the sets in this movie. The sets are very incredible too, because this is from 1931. They had to make these sets and physically put them on screen, put them in front of the camera. I thought that these sets look fantastic. The castle interior just looks really great. And the thought of how much time it takes to make these sets, to me, is... We'll probably not know how long it took, but man, it seems like there's so much effort put into these. They look so fantastic. And again, like I said, Bela Lugosi works on so many levels. He's so fantastic, and that incredibly iconic look he has for other Draculas is still incredibly effective. And since this is from 1931, there's not much of a score to it, which sometimes works with it being no score. It's kind of creepy, but also it's just kind of boring in instances where there's no score. And my biggest problem, I guess, with the movie, while it is a great influential movie, it's just not super interesting throughout. It's just one of those movies where It's from the 1930s. It's one of those movies where you have to look at it from that point of view of somebody, like if you were in the 1930s, you look at it from a view that it's not going to be very fast paced. And I could deal with movies that aren't fast paced. I do love slow burns in horror. But this is a different type of slow burn than like something like a 70s slasher or an 80s slasher. Like, it's not the same. And this isn't even a slasher, but you know what I mean. Like, in terms of pacing, it's a very different hybrid of a movie, because the pacing in this is like people sit around and talk, but they don't have, this is from the 1930s, so they don't have anything really with depth. It's just these characters speaking and saying stuff, but there's not really much to them, so it's just kind of uninteresting. Not all the way through, but I think that it's kind of not very interesting through most of the movie. But I do enjoy, again, I do love Bela Lugosi in this movie. I do like the sets. The sets are fantastic. The use of being in black and white works very, very well. But for me, this movie is just, it's not super interesting throughout. There are other Universal monster movies that I like more than this, but this one is a solid movie. It's one of the most influential movies ever, but it's just not one that I'll typically want to watch again over and over. But I did enjoy things about it, even though things I thought about it were kind of boring and not very interesting. But again, you got to look at it from the point of view of like being in a different time frame. And some people can still feel that way about this movie, liking it a lot. And I do like this movie. I just don't love it. It's not one of those movies that I hold in like superior regard to other horror. It's a good horror movie that is influential to every version of Dracula, and it just is the start of the Universal monsters. It's a good movie, but it's not one that I want to rewatch much. So that is my thoughts on Dracula from 1931. Tell me down below what you think of this movie, if you like it or you dislike it. And if you like this video, check my links down below in my description. And thank you guys so much for watching.